A teacher seeking resources or a business wanting to engage with the community.
Good morning, everybody. We're here live on Facebook. We're about to be live on air as well. We are here with SWEC and Representative Chatfield. Oh, wrong way. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Welcome back to school. Let's make this year unforgettable. The Clayton Union County Chamber of Commerce. Our community always comes first.
Good morning, Bear fans. Welcome back to Awaken AM. This is A. Renee.
And Ijazi.
And as promised, we have some special guests here joining us in the studio this morning. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Travis Sullivan, CEO of Southwestern Electric.
Jack Chatfield, State Representative, New Mexico, House District 67, all of northeastern New Mexico.
Yes, sir. All right. What brings you down here today? Just the meeting?
I came down for the SWEC meeting. You know, Southwestern Electric it provides electricity to all of the ranches and farms in our area. It's a very important part of our community.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are like
77 years.
77 years.
Yep, 77 years serving in this community. And so we're here for the meeting of the membership, the annual meeting of the membership. We got some great prizes. It's a drive-through. It takes about 15 minutes. They can come through and voice their opinions and their vote. And we've got all our board members here if they want to visit with them, talk to them about any issues, concerns, whatever's going on.
Awesome.
We're here in person.
That's great. So this whole idea of driving through and doing this, I'm pretty sure it started in 2020, right? Because of COVID.
Yep.
Right, okay. And then it just was so good. It just worked out so much better, is that right?
Yeah, what we're seeing is when we've done some of the drive-through meetings, we're getting people more my age group, I guess you could say, 45 to 55 that are still working because they can get off on a break or during lunch, come through. It takes 15 minutes to vote, and they're an important part of our membership. And even though the in-person, some of the long-standing members of our co-op like to get together and visit and stuff, so we're mixing it up. We're gonna do it every couple of years. We'll go inside and out here, and this saves us a little money and gets it done pretty quick. But it's a little bit getting warm out there, but it's not bad. We can manage.
It's pretty toasty. We like to match the inside to the outside over here, so
Yeah.
it's getting hot, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and bless you guys. There is no shade out there. You guys brought your own shade though, so that's something. So you guys have had a really successful year already. You want to talk about some of your wins this year?
Yeah, I mean, got a great staff to start with and very supportive board. So I think any success starts with the leadership, and our leadership team on the board has been very supportive. We are very transparent as staff with the board and the members and run everything by them. The propane company was one that we kicked off just about, well, not quite a year now, and we're getting members every day. So
That's
more
awesome.
people are coming around, and our whole goal in that was to serve the community with the best prices we can and create jobs. With everything moving in Clayton and seeing people, moving out, we want to retain local folks as much as we can.
Absolutely.
I think we've only got one or two people that didn't grow up in Clayton working for us out of our 18 employees. So
Wow.
we really try to go hometown, and because nobody cares like hometown folks, and it's our job to take care of Northeast New Mexico. That's why I like having Mr. Chatfield on the board, growing up around here, and his heart's for this community in Northeast New Mexico, and having his voice at the state level with the concerns that we have in Clayton. A lot of times we get overlooked, but having him and Senator Woods up there, they make sure that doesn't happen.
So the propane company, there was a company came in here that bought my propane company. It bought my gas company, my gasoline company that supplied gasoline to the ranch. It closed most of its smaller offices. It kept one office far away from here. And when I looked into it, I found out that they didn't even belong to a company inside the United States.
Oh, wow.
They belonged to a company overseas. And that's not what we stand for. We stand for local control, local employment, American energy. And
Sure.
we would like to see that there was enough employees to serve the community, that they were local folks that understood the community, and that whenever someone needed propane, they could get it, you know, and not be in fear of freezing during the winter because they can't find which office to call, or nobody cares from in an office overseas. So I think it as a public servants company, you know, that we need to see to it that the people that live around us, our family, our friends, our neighbors, are well taken care of, and that's why we added that other little company.
Yes, sir. That's great.
One of the other things has been able to move into that new building. That's been great for the membership.
That's so nice.
Great for staff. It was a big morale booster. I couldn't believe that just having an office with windows. You know, our older building was almost like going to jail, and all the ladies said get to have their own window now, and so that makes morale up in a better place to work.
Sure, just better culture,
Yeah.
better environment. I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, in today's ever-changing energy world, right?
Mhm.
You guys probably face a lot. How do you feel about the solar? What does that look for you? And wind energy, because these are all competitors for you,
Right.
or are you going with?
Well, and
How will that help you?
what we try to do on that is work with our local G&T, the people that we provide energy from, or we purchase energy from.
Okay.
And they're in 4 states, Colorado, Wyoming, part of Nebraska, and New Mexico. And they have a portfolio. So what a lot of people don't understand is that just going green does not have the sustainability to take us through the night. You know,
Sure.
we've been practicing for 77 years to keep the lights on when the sun goes down. And they haven't got that quite figured out. Even with batteries coupling with the solars only gives you about 4 hours of energy. And then they have to recharge, I think, for like 48 hours. I might be misspeaking on that part. I'm not familiar with the rooftop, but our state has said that we need to be 50% renewable by 2030. So with our G&T being, we only have 800 customers at SWEC. So being that small, it's hard to get a project big enough to get the pricing right for our membership. So partnering with Tri-State G&T, they do huge projects. They've got 100 megawatt solar projects and wind projects, and it goes into what they call an energy portfolio. And part of that portfolio is about, I think we're about 38 to 40% renewable. There's 4 or 5% that's natural gas, because you need that when the load comes up. They have to be able to push the button and ramp that power up right now, because when the load, and you can't do that with wind and solar. There's still a little bit of portion of coal that's mixed in with that for what we call base load generation. And then they go out on the open market, and they'll either buy or sell excess power to make sure our members don't have the brownouts like they experienced in Winter Storm Uri. You know, our company was able to absorb that and not have to do rolling blackouts like you saw or heard on the news in Texas.
Right. That was, what, 3 years ago?
Yep.
Or so? Yeah, and that was awful. And we saw how those turbines just really
Right.
were put to test, right?
Right.
So on the way in, I passed a little abandoned house, and at the end of it, there was a tower. And I'm thinking, well, then I realized that this is not the first time we've had wind turbines. Back many years ago, every little farm had their own little wind generator, and it supplied a small amount of electricity during a short period of time whenever the wind was blowing or whatever. But in the 30s, they had rural electrification came in, and they put power lines in and brought big power to our farms and ranches in rural areas, and so the trick today is now they're coming back to some wind turbines and to some solar panels, and huge installations across the West that we see across New Mexico, and that's awesome. I support that. But you know, I like American energy. I like wind energy. I like solar energy, and to all reports, we will not be carbon free for a good many years to come into the future. We need that to maintain that base so that when the wind's not blowing, the sun's not shining, we can still turn the lights on, you know. And
Right.
so I like us to not be dependent on some foreign energy source where we have to go to war to keep our lights on, and that's been done many times. Nobody wants to say that, but we all know it's true.
Right.
And we need to be self-sustainable in our energy, and we need to make good use of the available sources. You know, we don't, to my knowledge, have oil underneath the ground here in Clayton, but we do have a lot of wind in the air, and that's a way that landowners can make a little money off of the energy that they can sell, and so let's use what we have. Let's use our resources, use them wisely, use them cleanly, and I think that is the secret to having a good and happy life here in America, is to be as self-sustaining as we can. And we might not be able to totally be, but I think we have a good chance at that.
And that's one thing we're doing at SWEC too with the local board. We're always concerned about that, you know, elderly person at the end of the line, and can they afford it, and will their lights be on, and keeping our reliability and our maintenance up. But also on the renewable side, that we're actively talking with NextEra and Invenergy. You know, a lot of the stuff that they're moving in to do, well, 10 years ago, they would build it here and they would ship it out. Like Jack's saying, you know, it's gonna go east or it's gonna go clear to the coast. So their business model now is looking in is how does it benefit the members where it's being produced? And that's where we're building relationships with those companies to where they can come in and they're not just going to fly right over our heads and ship it out of the country, that local New Mexicans in Northeast New Mexico can capitalize on that too. So we're always looking and engaged with other companies, not only our GNT, but working with our GNT through that to do what's best for the membership. And it really all comes down to what's affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know our fans are always concerned about their pockets, right? All Americans are at the end of the day. It's probably the number one thing that keeps us up at night is our finances and where we're headed. So
right. And well, and that's what, going back to what Jack said, the Rural Electrification Act was established by Roosevelt in 1936, and to make energy affordable for ranchers and farmers, and we still maintain that thought process to keep, because we serve 4,700 square miles of Union County with 2,400 miles of line. We only have 800 members and 2,300 meters.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost comparable to like rural Alaska. For the,
Right,
the
on the
amount
scale.
of people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of other co-ops around and utilities that, you know, it's a concentrated population. So we just do our best to try to keep our lines up and maintained, and our guys are really good when storms come in. I'll go back to an outage, just everybody will remember, Clayton included, was about 17 hours out here about a year ago when we had a tornado go through and knock down the transmission line.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have been, ever since that night, I started that night talking with the CEO of Tri-State, and we just about a month ago had engineering come in and took them out on there and look at the lines. So we're actively engaged with making sure that Clayton and our surrounding territory has reliable electricity, and making sure that poles and wires meet the standards. And
When you say actively engaged, I don't think that a person can understand what actively engaged is until you drive down the road and you see our line crew out there on a pole when it's 6 below zero and the wind's at about 40 miles an hour, and they're up there putting the power back on for the people that live down the line.
Oh, yeah.
And you just gotta know that those guys are so dedicated.
They're great. They're great at showing pictures when those events do happen and reminding us like how lucky we are that we're warm in our homes or in our jobs or wherever while they're out there taking care of everything for us. And you're right, like it's incredible to see members of our community that we've known our whole lives, you know, out there kind of being the little superheroes of our community.
Yep.
They
it's
train and they
amazing.
train and they have safety meeting after safety meeting. They do everything very meticulously, very safely, and it's a tough job in the wintertime. And you know, when it's hot in the summer.
I was about to say, it'd be tough in the summer too.
Right, it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
Well, and I just got to give a shout out to the membership too, because you know, they show their gratitude in a lot of ways to us for going out and doing that. And all across the system, if we have a tear down, there's always somebody with some piece of equipment that is willing to lend a hand. And this past year, PMS and harvesting, something we've never done. I was in Arizona. We had a meeting and we had a snowstorm come in. We just couldn't go. And one day it let up. We still had a hard time going, but PMS and harvesting came in, and Todd with his helicopter, and we were anticipating another 14 hours for those people in Barros to be out of power. And thankfully, with Todd coming in with the helicopter, we were able to get those people on in about 4 hours.
That's excellent.
So, and then Ashley Ranch in Sedan, just not too long ago, we had a big storm come through, lost some poles, and Chad Deason, another one of our board members, got his tractor out and was pulling trucks around. So there's a lot to it. It's not just like flipping the switch. Tri-State used to do a story called Behind the Switch, and we're just used to coming in and flipping the light switch and the lights come on.
Yeah.
Well, behind the switch, clear back to generation, there's a whole lot that goes on that people just don't know, don't understand, but once you live it, and that's why we like Facebook and putting those pictures out to educate the members.
Yeah, we appreciate that you do
Yeah.
that, because it does. Yeah, it's nice to see. It's really nice to see. I like seeing it.
Yeah.
So before we get to our, I wanted to talk about our top 5 today, because that's what we've been doing. We're talking about energy saving for homes and how people in America, specifically Clayton, could be wasting money already. So we're at number 3 right now, and I want to see what your take is on number 3. So far, we've already talked about leaving things plugged in. Okay, let's see, we have these power strips that have sensors on them, so it automatically turns off when you leave the room. Those are pretty, yeah, those are pretty cool. And then fridge surfing, that was our number 4. That one's really bad, and we found out that that's 10 hours that Americans on average spend a year looking
Just
in their
opening the
just
refrigerator.
opening
Yeah.
their refrigerator. Isn't that okay?
Yeah, you got the camera focused on me here, so I'm like,
No, but I'm the worst, because I'm always hungry, but I never want to eat, but I'm always looking. You know?
Right.
So number 3, we're talking about the dishwasher half full and getting ran.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that?
Yeah, we try to load it up, you know, as much as we can. In like most women, I'm sure, you know, if I get my wife somebody to come and clean the house, we clean the house before the housekeeper shows up, and it's the same way. Loading the dishwasher, we usually wash the dishes for the most part and put them in the dishwasher. That kind of helps with it getting a little musty smelling or stinking a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you kind of do a little pre-rinse, put them in there, and then wait till they have a full load, absolutely. That's a big help. And then energy efficiency products. I'll tell you one story on a high bill complaint. The customer, just all of a sudden the bill went up $500 a month.
Oh my gosh.
And when they called me out there to come and check it out, it was an old freezer. And we unplugged it. Of course, they didn't dispose of it. Somebody else moved in the ranch house, plugged it in, and they called me back 3 or 4 months later, and it's like, man, our bill's crazy. And so did you happen to plug in that freezer? I said, yeah, it's still good. And I said, yeah, well, it still works, but there's something wrong.
Wow.
So paying attention to things that are running constantly. There could be an issue, could be lint or dirty that you need to clean. Water wells, you know, we've run into some of the riser pipe on the water well have a hole in it down below, so it's the pump's not pressuring up. There's a whole lot of things with energy efficiency. One thing I'll mention, since you said the surge strips, they're only good for one shot of lightning, so people buy these things
And keep them.
Oh, and
no.
we've had some houses that have almost caught on fire because of those failed surge strips. So really watch those kind of things.
How do you
LEDs
know
are
though?
huge.
How do you know if you've been struck by lightning? Because right,
Yeah.
if you have your power strip and it
Right.
works, then essentially you wouldn't know that.
Some of
It
them have a
worked,
little
right?
indicator on there. Some of them have a little strip that when it gets so hot, the wording goes away, so you know it's
Okay.
time to replace it. A lot of that stuff you can find when you purchase a piece of equipment, just reading the manual.
Okay, okay. And you said LEDs, the light bulbs.
Yeah, LEDs will, big savings on that. A lot of times you can save about 20% of your electric bill by switching to all LEDs.
That's crazy.
Yep. And even our
20%.
flat screens, you know, we're not watching TV, but it's still plugged in. A flat
That's what we were
screen will
talking about
use like
earlier.
20% of its energy just sleeping.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So we're just throwing money out the window
Yeah.
for no reason.
right.
On these little bitty things that would just take nothing for us to change, right?
Well, and
Like
it-
with the dishwasher, like I have a 17-year-old at home.
Yeah.
You know, he's the dishwasher.
yeah. Yeah. There
we
you go.
don't use that machine next to it. We have one.
Right.
He's learning
Yeah, there's
skills.
lots of ways. I mean, everything that we do now is plugged into something, whether it's our phone or iPad, even our recliners now. It's hard to buy a recliner without getting something that you have to plug in to manipulate it.
It's true.
So there's just a whole lot of things, and I know it's a real pain to reprogram and get back on the Wi-Fi with the smart TV and all that, but if you're really pinching pennies and going around and unplugging those things and figuring out your necessities, it will save you some money.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to talk to our fans about this morning?
Yeah, just come see us. We'll be here till 1 o'clock. Like I said, we got some great prizes and some good people. Stop and visit, and love to see you.
All right. Excellent.
I'm honored to be on the board of Southwestern Electric. I think it serves an important role in the lives of our rural people. One of the things we fight for in Santa Fe constantly is that they remember that there are people that live out here that are just as important as people that live in the Rio Grande corridor, and that we have lives, that we have children, we have grandchildren, schools, and electricity. And so Southwestern tries to keep us up with the rest of the state and some of the conveniences of life, one of which is electricity. And so I'm honored to be a part of that.
Yep.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Thank
Yep.
you for joining us today, Mr.
Chatfield.
Representative Chatfield. I know you. And Travis, thank you guys
You bet.
all. I appreciate the hard work that you're doing in Santa Fe for us
Yep.
and that you do every day with your staff.
And if anybody has any questions, I just leave every meeting, my board, my staff. Anytime I talk to the membership, my phone's always on, my door's always open.
Awesome.
Same goes.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank y'all.
All right, we're going to get you guys right back into the tunes. We've got some Bruce Springsteen coming up with The Rising. That song came out in 2002, followed by some Fleetwood Mac with Say You Will. You're listening to Your Killer Mix right here on 97.5 FM, The Bear.